Okay, welcome back, everybody. We're going to reconvene back into open session. During closed session, nothing was voted on, so there's nothing to report out. We're going to move on to item 5.1, approval of consent agenda items 5.1 to 5.5. Can I please get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Captain.
Okay. We're going to move on to reports and correspondence. Any comments submitted by SRTA? Okay. CSEA? Okay. We're going to start off with Superintendent's Cabinet. Start off with Director of Engagement in School Climate, Dr. Summer Prather-Smith.
I'll keep it short. I told Dr. Katis I was just going to say we're tired. We've had an amazing start to ELOP, but it's a lot for the start of the year, starting the school year. We have right now with Boys and Girls Club going, I think we're around 1,300 students overall. Most of our sites, at least half their students are staying in after school program every day on site, not including those that are going off site. And so as we work to kind of make sure all of that happens, there's some bumps as we do it. Things today is looking good. But up to today, we're just working through all of those logistical pieces that come with that. We're working really closely. That's what we're talking about right now. We're working really closely with our special education team. One of the areas that we've been shouted out across the county is our inclusion of all of our special education students in expanded learning. For us, every student has access and there's no limitation to that. With that comes the need for a lot of additional supports in there. So we're really grateful to have our ELOP TOSA, Amy Choate from La Jolla Elementary, who's come over, and it's trial by fire into the world of out of the classroom. So she thought like, oh, it's going to be so much easier. You're not starting the year in the same way. And I saw her today and she's like, what is happening? I'm like, I know. I said it's going to be great. So I'm really grateful to have all of that support as we work to make sure that all of our students have equal access in expanded learning right now. So thank you. And we're continuing to add additional enrichments to that as well, which is added to our workflow, but which has also made our parents want to join our programs. So we're starting scouting at La Jolla, starts in the next couple of weeks. We're going to be starting a culinary arts program. We have the media program. We have manual arts program happening. We have a music program happening. So we're making sure that it's, our students have access in all kinds of ways throughout the end of the day. So
Okay. And that's all happening through ELOP?
It's all happening through ELOP. So yeah, from 2, depending on the site, 2:10 to 6 o'clock every day.
Okay. And then I know that our numbers are a lot larger than they were last year.
A lot larger.
They're staying. Is there a certain point with staffing that we could hit a capacity issue at any
So that's the benefit of our work within district and with Right at School is as we go, we halt, we do like a 2-week halt, we get the hiring on board and we can continue to grow. We could reach that, but as of right now, we haven't gotten there. We've been able to meet that demand and keep within our ratios. And again, that's a joint effort between all of these organizations. So I think if we were just us or just, Right at School or just this art program, yes. But what we're basically doing is evaluating where we are and then adding the supports we need, evaluating where we are and adding the supports we need. So,
Okay. And if I could be confused, there was an initial deadline for to sign up for ELP, right?
Yeah.
That was it.
So
Okay.
yeah, so we started initial time and then we halt. We can't stop enrollment. So we halt, we do a 2-week hold. Families can enroll, get onto that list. That allows us to determine where our needs are. We fill staffing based on that wait list, and then we let families in as we get to that number.
Okay, I see. So technically right now people can enroll.
They enroll.
You put on a wait list
They're enrolling every day.
and to figure out what's
Yeah.
going on.
And one of the changes for our community that we did have to put into place that caused a little bit of us to be tired this week is what we had is that families were also kind of seeing ELOP as a drop-in opportunity. So they would sign up for the program, but they weren't really attending regularly. It was kind of just like, today I feel like it, tomorrow I don't. And that caused a lot of challenges around staffing, number one, because let's say you're staffing for 100, but 50 of them are just dropping in, then we're really overstaffed. And or safety wise. So if students, we don't know if they're supposed to be there or are they getting picked up and a student doesn't check in with us, the assumption is, okay, they must have been picked up. But if the parent didn't pick up, it could be till 6 o'clock before anybody knows that the child wasn't there. So we did institute a policy this year that parents need to designate the days they're going to attend. So they don't have to attend every day, but
Okay.
they have to tell us which days, and they have to check into program for at least 30 minutes on those days. What that does is allow us to take attendance and release to the parent. So we know we're responsible for Jacob on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're going to check him in every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and parents can pick up as soon as 30 minutes after. But that helps kind of mitigate that safety. So I was able to talk through with parents, and there was an understanding that came about. But that was a change from last year. Also, we had some parents doubly enrolling. So they were enrolling in Boys and Girls Club and our on-site programming. And we kind of said, like, we need to understand why, or you have to pick one.
Okay.
Because again, we're funding 2 programs for 1 student. And so fiscally, it's not the best decision. And families have been extremely understanding as we work through some of those. Yeah.
And how does or does it impact funding? So let's say, for example, if students that attend Monday to Friday versus only Monday, Wednesday, Friday,
No,
or
because it's
staffing?
not based on attendance. So yeah, it doesn't, them attending doesn't impact our funding because it's not like an ADA piece of it.
Asking.
But what it does is limit what we can do because we're funding for ratio on a larger number. We have to hold the money based on that number, right? So if we're funding staffing for 100 students, we're holding money for the cost of staffing for 100 students. But if only 50 students are showing up, half of that money we could be using to add additional enrichment because those students aren't there every day.
Oh, I see.
Do you see what I'm saying? So it's
Okay.
more like we want to make sure that we're staffing as close to the number of students as possible to allow us to free that funding to add additional supports and services as well
Okay,
for
that
them.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I I just have a quick well, 2 comments. First of all, I'm just very excited and very, very happy. We've been asking for after school programs for God knows how long, funding issues. Finally, the growth is happening. We're getting different programs, different partners. So I'm very excited. I'm loving the numbers we're seeing.
Yeah.
Every hour we can keep a student outside, back into school doing positive activities, it's a win for the parents, it's a win for the student, a win for our school. So obviously new programs are going to have issues learning, the learning curve's pretty steep. And so whatever concerns you're going through, please just work through them, the best of your abilities. And, I'm looking, and like I said, like to scale, higher, but we have great numbers. Um, the second question I have is how was the transition and the starting from McKinnon? If you can just comment a little bit about that, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I was just there today, kind of watching the morning and the afternoon, and it actually is good. So I left the school today right at dismissal, and there was no line of cars. I went straight out. Parents were kind of pulled along the back waiting to do pickup, but I was able to exit the parking lot and head out and then kind of stayed over there and watched, and the pickup never backed up into. It's actually less. I feel like it's interesting because I feel like right now it's less than it was last year, and I'm not sure why that is, but yeah, it didn't back up into the street. So I've gotten no concerning phone calls from parents. I've been checking in. I just talked to Sophia Rome with the city right before I came here as well, because there's a Wednesday standing meeting about that project, and she hasn't gotten anything in the city either. So I think right now we're good. We're going to have some more conversations come October. Some big changes are happening around kind of the sidewalk and stuff coming October, and we're already starting to kind of make some plans around that with the city. So yeah, I mean, it's been smooth.
I appreciate the partnership you're forming with the city. I know when I drive down, I've been seeing specific signs talking about our school, saying, McKinnon's opening, be careful. And, those little extra things that we can let the traffic, people in traffic know what's going on. I don't expect this project to be done with the 3 stages or, 3 phases, if you will. But whatever I know, I'm like, my God, we're not even done with phase 1, and I'm like, oh my God. 1 year program went to 3 years, right? But I appreciate the partnership and whatever you can continue to do to make sure, we're leveraging that partnership so we can provide more information, not to our parents, but general traffic, patterns. So when I saw that sign and it mentioned McKinnon and drive carefully and this is what's going on, I think goes a long way. So Thank you.
And that's a big shout out again to Sophia Rome. We did that brainstorm with her in the summer. Like, what are the things that would be helpful? And I mean, Sophia is unbelievable about helping facilitate that coordination. She's the public relations officer for the city of Salinas. I mean, I talk to her several times a week. And whatever we ask for, she kind of goes in, gives me some answers and searches it out, or is also communicating with me like a parent called with this concern, or this is what's happening on the street, or a community member around it. And then we're able to kind of address it together, which is really helpful because then it's not just the school and it's not just the city, but it's like together, how are we addressing this challenge? And so huge shout out to Sophia.
Great, thank you.
Miss Rosa Zamudio.
Good evening. I just have a quick and very important update in regards to the bond sale and the bond anticipation notes. As well as you know, we started the process back in late June. It's been a long process all July and now August with, a lot of legal documentation back and forward, the reviewing of the rating for our districts and interviews along with Melissa. Thank you for being with me throughout this whole process. And finally, after so many things that we have to go through, everything is done. The sale went well. We end up getting those $13.3 million that we were anticipating. So we're very happy about that. And today we got an email saying everything's closed, everything's done. I know Miguel Rodriguez told me that we should be getting the cash as of today, and usually is received by the county treasury. So on the next days, I'm going to get an email saying we got the cash, where we're going to allocate it and all that good information. So I'm very excited about that. Just want to give you an update and looking forward for the next projects. Again, this is for the bond projects in under Fund 21.
Okay, great. And thank you all for putting that process through. And also thank you for the voters and the taxpayers for entrusting us. I mean, a big part of that is improving our learning environments for our students, which are going to go back and become productive members of our community. So thank you as well.
Yeah, I concur. I think, we need to thank the taxpayers. The fact that we got a good rating and we got, really good interest rate considering the market rate, the market the way it is. Once again, our taxpayers should be happy knowing that we're having due diligence and we're trying to save them as much money as possible and raising the funds in the most expedited way. So thank you for your hard work.
Okay.
Miss Melanie Grundy.
Perfect. It did turn on. Ugh. Well, the SPED Student Services team's done quite a bit of professional development and training over the last several weeks. I had the opportunity to present at the new teacher orientation and focus on inclusion best practices and really go over accommodations and what our gen ed teams would see within their classroom. So that was great. We've had 2 safety care trainings in the last 2 weeks where we were able to certify 57 folks within our district. This included teachers, paraprofessionals, behavior aides, principals. So we now have almost all of our admins also trained. Let's see, we're able to do 6 CPR classes for district wide. And again, that was teachers, special ed, a lot of special ed staff. We also certified a lot of our transportation team members, and we trained 87. So huge shout out to our nurses, Elizabeth Settlement and Nora Hale, for just all their work and coordination with those trainings. And also, our nurses were able to put on a vaccine clinic in the evening where we really focused in on our 7th graders that hadn't yet gotten their 7th grade mandatory vaccines, the Tdap. So we had a lot of success with that. And then we had our first SPED PLC today. And while there was a lot of technical difficulties, we were able to kind of go over best practices around those service logs that we now have to use to document our services. We talked about service page and our offer of FAPE. We talked about parent engagement and reaching out now, right? And like building those relationships. So it was really great. It's always fun to get all 40 of us in here together in this room. But yeah, the year's started off like extra exciting. So we're looking forward to just keep on chugging.
No, and I appreciate you mentioned about building those relationships because too often I do hear that parents have trouble building relationships when it's sped.
Yeah.
So I applaud our district that you guys are taking that proactive approach and making sure that
Absolutely.
parents feel welcome and being able to have a conversation. So
Yeah, so important.
Miss Becky Moore?
Thank you. It's been a busy, how many weeks now? 5 with all the professional development and school opening. We've had some exciting news with our TK expansion because of the additional enrollment at the last minute that caused us to now have almost double the number of TK classrooms that we had last year. So that's really exciting. So we're working on making sure that those teachers have all the materials now that they need, the new classes to support the TK students. We were able to have MCOE come and provide training from their universal pre-K team to our TK teachers on August 1st, the first day they returned back to school. And they'll be continuing to provide training to them this year as we partner with them because TK really does look a lot different now than it did even a few years ago with the students being so much younger. So we're going all in and making sure that we have a really successful TK program here. I've also been working with our continuous improvement administrator from MCOE who helps with the LCAP, does the review at the county level. And so that's just been completed as well as the fiscal review. And there are a few things that we needed to make some updates on, as happens every year. So next meeting, I'll be bringing back as an information item, just those updates so that you have access to those. And she was also able to join us this morning with our district leadership and our contracted services with Parsec to dig into our LCAP goals and really narrow our focus so that we can make some actionable progress on 3 SMART goals that kind of cross over all of our 10 goals. They go across all of them. And so we did a lot of work today refining what our real focus needs to be for this school year. Because as we know, 10 goals, if we try and focus on everything, we're probably not going to accomplish much. But if we can really narrow that focus, we can make some good movement. So I'm excited about that work. We'll be back here tomorrow morning to continue working on that and talk about what our monitoring system is going to be, what benchmarks we're looking for throughout the year, and how we're going to keep each other accountable.
okay, perfect. Thank you for the update. Any questions or comments?
I was just very happy to see the huge, enrollment in TK and the fact we have a backlog. My question is the forecasting of numbers, with the base numbers we have now, I would, be interested in the future to see what's the future forecast in terms of capacity and what we might have to deal with capacity as well in the future. But I'm excited. It's a good initial start, and I hope it continues. But at the same time, I would like to look at the numbers in terms of, hey, is this a bleep or is this a continuous ongoing effort that we're going to have to deal with, in terms of maybe even increasing capacity in the future. But it's a good sign.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to the board and the superintendent, Mr. Neil Patel.
No comment. I'm a teacher as well. It's an exciting time of the year. My hearts go out to all of our teachers and staff at all of our schools in our district. The first week is really, really rough. Excited parents, excited students, and all I can say is, Godspeed and, keep your head down and let's just get through this first week. And I guarantee you it'll get easier as time goes on, But my heart goes out to everyone, especially in the elementary and middle school era. I know as a high school teacher, we have our own issues, but I don't think it really compares to the pressure that elementary and middle schools have, especially the younger they are. So, once again, we support you, keep up the great work and, thank you for working in Santa Rita and supporting our community.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Sarah Turner.
Yeah, I just want to echo Mr. Patel's thank you to all the staff at every level. Beginning of the school year is a wild ride, always. So just hang in there, everybody.
Okay, nothing to report. Just welcome back everybody to the students and the parents and the staff to a great year. Dr. Mills Alderman, Superintendent.
Thanks. What we said when we had to start calling schools and being like, so your TK enrollment is what today? Is we said it's a problem, but it is a wonderful problem to have, right? And what we were grateful for is our staff's flexibility in immediately being ready and on deck for solving the problem. And so we had classes ready to go on the first day. They had great people in them to greet our students and get those things started. So we weren't behind, even though we had to make it happen really quickly. And so our site leaders, as well as our teaching staff and this team here, coming together to be like, we got to solve this really wonderful problem that we have. And so staying ahead of that, knowing again, like you said, is this like a one-off or is this our new normal, which we can hope for, right? That these students are just the start of the wave of additional students who will be enrolling with our district. Great start for all of our schools. We're going to our back to school nights as they occur. So we had JGMS last night, and then tomorrow night we have New Republic and La Jolla. And then next week we'll follow up with Gavilan View. Thank you. And then the following week, Santa Rita Elementary School, right? Yes. Okay. So we look forward to seeing our community and our families at our back to school nights.
Perfect. Is there any public comments regarding either non-agenda or agenda items?
There are no public comments.
Okay, 9.1, going to action items, approval of the 45-day budget revision.
So this is my item, and as you know, we did adopt the budget back in June, and then we have to wait for the state to adopt the state budget before July 1st. After they adopt the budget, then we go back and make revisions based on the adoption of the state budget. So as you can see, I have the list of the revisions. I did include it, the multi-year agreement and the spreadsheet and highlighted the changes. This would help to reduce the deficit spending by $1.3 million for the current year 25-26. As a reminder, these are one-time funds, not ongoing. So just keep that in mind as we move forward, and it's here for approval.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion 3-0.
Okay, item 2, approval of individual education evaluation contracts.
Yes.
Sorry, guys, I'm getting used to the new board docs. I have it. This is a contract. So when we assess students, they have the right per parent code to be able to come back in and ask for what we call IEEs or outside assessments. So that's what this is. This family we assessed, and parent was in disagreement with our assessment results. So when they come in and ask for an IE, we can either file or agree to the IEs at public expense. So this includes a full psychoeducation assessment, as well as an occupational assessment and a speech assessment.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, Kevin.
Motion 3-0.
Okay, item 9.3 is approval of contract with Allied.
Perfect. This one's me too. This is a contract. We have had other contracts come to you guys with Allied. This is for an SLP and a para. This is an SLP, a virtual SLP that we've had working for us in the past, as well as an in-person SLP. We've unfortunately, a couple of the contracts that I brought to you April through June, a couple of those team members weren't able to actually come. So this is replacing that, but with a new contract. So I wanted to be transparent about that.
Okay, appreciate that. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion 3-0.
Okay, 9.4 is approval of revised classified confidential salary schedule.
Thank you. The classified confidential unit's salary schedule has been revised no fiscal impact. There's no change to the dollars. However, the formatting has been updated. The school secretary's monthly salary needed to be revised to reflect 12-month installments. They're still 11-month employees. However, they work days in each of the 12 months of the year. So this was a fiscal update. And then there was a cleanup for some of the non-existent classifications. And when medical contributions were revised in March, those reflections are now added to the salary schedule. So it's really just bringing it up to date as far as the language and formatting.
Your motion to approve or question, comments?
I just want to say thank you for cleaning up contract language and salary scheduling. I know for me in my district, it's an issue we always have to work on, you know, so I'm glad you're giving the proper attention it needs and clearing it up and making it much easier and it's up to date. So I know it's a mundane task, but it's got to be done. Thank you. I motion to approve.
Second, and I want to echo Mr. Patel. It never ends, but it's so important to be done correctly. I've had to deal with job descriptions from 1978 where you're like, really, no one has looked at this in all this time. So grateful for us trying to stay on top of everything.
Okay, all those in favor?
I
Captain.
Motion 3-0.
Okay, that's our last item. Next regular board meeting is going to be August 27, 2025. Is there any suggested future board items?
if when we have I wrote down the most recent ELOP numbers. If we could get a breakdown by school and Boys and Girls Club, I know we've included some of that in the Friday letters, but I would be super interested, and I appreciate all the amazing work that's happening there.
I have a weird request. Back to McKinnon. If we can just get an update on the various phases and what the timeline is, you know, knowing that you have a good partnership with the city, you know, I think the more information we provide, not only for our students and our parents, but also for the general community as well. I don't think the city's done a great job in terms of getting the information out there, in terms of what are the staging, what are the timelines, because they're always changing, you know. So the consistent updates would really, really help, not only the city, but especially our community.
I can get that. And there's a community meeting that'll be coming up really soon also.
Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn at 6:36?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Captain.
Motion 3-0.
Okay, have a nice evening, everyone.